Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Heart of the Storm First Impressions. We're over here in the NASL studios where actually Kevin is balling out right now with some Blink Soccer Micro. Let's head in there while we actually just jabber on. We just got finished talking about Terran. We started up on a little bit of the Zerg. We actually talked about the Swarm host. Now let's talk about the Viper.
Yes, I'm so excited about the Viper. Did you see the video on Reddit today? Sheth holding his ramp.
Yes.
With the Viper.
With the Dark Swarm. Or
how cool is that?
Absolutely
how
awesome.
Freaking cool is that?
Like 3 Ultras held off like 20 Roaches and 4 Queens.
Is that like, I didn't, is that the thing like comes with Viper and the...
NASL! That's what we got, baby! Okay, screenshot that. Screenshot that, post that on Reddit. Post that on Reddit. Woo! That's what we did in 2 days.
That's right, all 4 of us.
I think like 200 people have access to this beta.
199.
Except for that 201st person who signs up.
Just have to make it like full screen, otherwise I can't make it.
It's like Stefano signs up as beta tester number 201.
Because all spots are taken. Yeah. As soon as certain person drops out, he'll get in.
Okay, let's talk about the Viper again. 3 different abilities. We have Consume, we have Abduct, and last we have Dark Swarm.
Yeah, let's talk about, is it Dark Swarm or is it Blinding Cloud, right? Okay, so we'll talk about that last. Consume is the most basic ability. It allows the Viper to, eat basically his own buildings, building some energy, which is very important. And Abduct is the...
Wait, what do you think of that mechanic, though? Because that's now the first unit, other than Protoss units, sort of, that have the ability to kind of create
generate energy, basically. I think it's cool. I think it's really cool. I really wish that we could eat Zerglings for energy, but I understand that Lings are just too cheap, and it would probably be a little bit more broken than even the Defiler was. But it's a really cool mechanic, and certainly you can use it on Evo chambers once your upgrades are done. I mean, Viper's a high-tech unit anyway.
Yes.
And you can even use it on hatcheries and stuff. Certainly late game in those big money situations, you can just throw down extra hatcheries just to munch on, and then you get a little extra larva. Cool ability. What are your thoughts, Andre?
Definitely, I think it's supposed to be there because it's hive-tech. I think if you have any hive-tech units, you need some sort of consumability. Because I think that's like Terran going motherships, or not motherships, the super ships. What are those super ships called?
Battle cruisers.
Thank you. Or carriers or Tempest, something like that. If you're going to introduce a caster, you need some sort of way to actually get that energy.
Yeah, to get to it's hive-tech, you want to get it out, and you want to make it applicable instantly. Now, my favorite ability of the Viper, and the one that I think is most interesting for the Zerg matchups, is Abduct. It's the get over here move. In beta, in alpha testing at Blizzard, they called it Yoink.
Yoink.
How cool would it be if the Viper is like can also do it to the side? He's like, get over here.
Yeah, like move over here.
And to me, the Viper is the unit that makes me say, okay, I'm not sweating the Terran Death Ball so much, or just Death Ball stuff, period, because it breaks it up. It very clearly breaks it up. It has a very obvious function, and it fills it very well. You can just grab stuff out of that swath of whatever that you're playing against and deal with it kind of on a one-off basis. So I think it's a very cool ability. Might be too strong. It probably is too strong, to be completely honest with you. But
I think so. But
when to make a Dota comparison, like you said earlier today, when everything is overpowered, it kind of balances out in the long run. And this is how can we use these overpowered things effectively. And I love that concept, and I hope that we see more of that as we move forward in the life of StarCraft II.
Dan?
Well, the big thing in Dota is not necessarily everything is really strong, but the key is initiation and positioning. And I think, again, Vipers reward good people or people who play really well in positioning armies. I think a lot of it'll continue to necessitate Protoss to kind of respond, because I feel like Protoss struggles the most against Abduct, not necessarily Terran. Terran can just, I guess, get out Ghosts, and it'll come down to like EMPing investors and
Vikings. I think
and
will outrange it too,
Vikings
which is something else to consider.
I don't think the Tempest is that effective at taking out like against the Zerg army late game. So I think Protoss struggles the most, and that's why I think we'll see a lot of Protoss players experiment with like speed prisms and high Templars trying to drop in feedback and stuff like that, but it's going to be really tough.
That's so hard.
That's going to be really cool to see if that actually can play out that way.
I want to give you guys an example real quick. Like, how many times have you guys been in a ZVP where you see the Zerg go Zerglings and Roaches like this whole game long, and then it's just not being effective, but they're up to like 4 or 5 bases. And, you know, the Protoss slowly get this ball, and once they hit like 130 food, you can't do anything to the Zerglings and Roaches. And now you have all this wasted supply that should be in infestors or upgrades, stuff like that. I like the fact that now there is somewhere to go. It used to be infestors were the only thing. It's like, let's pray to God they don't attack me between the time I get infestors and I actually get energy for them. And now it's like I can go to Hive Tech and say, hey, get over here Immortal, get over here Colossus. And all of a sudden my Zergling Roaches are still, they're not overpowered, I don't think, but you can actually play with it. It's a playable line. Whereas before it's just like you can't play that eco style. You have to get the right units or else you're dead. It doesn't matter how many bases you have. It doesn't matter how much Zerglings and Roaches you have. It's just you are dead if you don't have the right composition. This is going to fix it, and I really feel like Abduct is one of the moves that's really going to change Heart of the Swarm for the better.
Well, it's just another instance of Zerg getting more options. They have so many options now, and I love that. I think it's pretty straightforward, simple, and easy to say that in Heart of the Swarm, as it is right now, Zerg is the most fun race to play because there's just so much you can do.
Yeah.
Yes, I think especially with a Viper, like it's going to be so necessary for things like ZVZ, as Sheth kind of showed. But I think also it just provides different avenues of which you can do. I think I was talking about this with RotterdaM yesterday on the stream. It seems like Terran used to be able to. People really felt like they're locked into bio, and now they can kind of do mech, and there's different styles, but it's really just still like bio or mech or a little bit of mixture. And Protoss still seems pretty straightforward, like Colossus, Stalker. But Zerg, you can kind of do Ling, Infestor, you can do Roaches. You can actually still incorporate Hydras, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah,
and you can throw in whatever Spellcasters or even the Swarm Host to kind of complement on the composition. I think there's a lot more synergy within Zerg right now than other races, especially because the Spellcasters are so versatile. Fungal is really good. The Abduct is really good. I think if you find ways to apply like the Blinding Cala as well, it'd be really cool.
I agree. I agree on all points. Zerg now synergizes so brilliantly once you get up to layer tech. You have so much freedom at layer tech, whereas throughout Wings of Liberty, it was just really Roach on layer tech, and that's not even really. I mean, so you get speed there, you get burrow there, which is where your Roaches become strong.
It's really one of two things. It's either Zergling or Infestor Roach.
Yeah.
Or excuse me,
Zergling Infestor,
or Roach. You don't see Hydras.
Roach Infestor.
You don't see Muta. I mean, Mutas have sort of taken a resurgence.
Usually Muta has its niche applications. There's certainly there's tons of great places where you can use Muta effectively, but when you talk about standard baseline play, there is not really any sort of standard baseline Muta. It's more of a it's not a gimmick, but it's just something that you throw in once in a while.
It's not a game.
Anyway, I think the Viper definitely has great implications. The Hydra has great implications now.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that in just a sec. But I want to hear more of your thoughts on the Viper specifically.
I think it's really good because it's also a flying unit, and it just gives – it kind of fits more into that late game Zerg mode because even though you may lack mobility as you transition, the Viper can help you, again, like if you position really well, because Zerg is starting to realize, you know, like I don't make Broodlords and then send them out. I move my Corruptors and then make Broodlords, and then Vipers can buy you time, or it can help you, you know, kind of – position correctly so that way you're not screwed waiting for Broodlords because they're so slow.
And think how powerful now, like Spine Crawlers, like you have all this time. You have like 2 minutes to get to Broodlords. All of a sudden you have Spine Crawlers, you have Abduct. How many Protoss really want to be pushing into that?
No,
they can't do that.
No. I mean, Turtley Zerg just got twice as difficult to deal with.
Definitely. So I think Protoss really need to find a way to actually maneuver around that, and that might actually be like a mothership recall or something like that really, really early into your opponent's main while they're actually preparing for the the attack at the Spine Crawler wall, something like that.
Right. Yeah, life's going to be kind of tough for Protoss if they don't get some changes. We'll talk more about that when we get over to the Protoss part of our little conversation. Hydralisks, as we've been kind of hinting at, have gotten quite good in Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah.
Hydras, in Wings of Liberty, Hydras have always been strong when it comes to dealing damage, but their mobility, or lack thereof, has always been one real sticking point. The other being even if you want to sit back and be defensive, whenever they fight, they're having to deal with Storm or Colossus or you know, splash damage of some sort. So the Viper helps the Hydra a lot because it means that, okay, now I can pick and choose my battles. But the Hive Tech upgrade for Hydralisk speed is just awesome. Now it's as fast off creep as it is on creep, and you can actually move your Hydras. Yeah, you can kite. You can run away, which is something that you were never able to do. You can actually micro a lot easier. You know, I read one post on Team Lookit that said, "Hey, Hydras with pre-spread, it's not going to do anything, guys. It doesn't do anything. So stop. I mean, Sentries and Colossus are still going to kill that. Yes, but the synergy now, the power of the their DPS is exceptionally strong. I think Hydras are actually not the way to go, but incorporating them is definitely the way we want. It just becomes another really strong option. Yes. And when you get to super late game, Hydra synergizes very nicely with the new Ultralisk. Oh yeah. And we keep saying Viper, 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 but it's true. Also, Hydralisk Broodlord was already good. There was actually a time, believe it or not, if you guys may remember, there was a time in the Wings of Liberty beta.
Rank 11, guys. Rank 11. Gonna break top 10 GM.
There's time in the Wings of Liberty beta where Hydra Brood was like the end game norm. It's since changed because Zergs have learned that there's more ways to exploit the Broodlord. But we're going to see that come back some. Yep.
I think Hydras will have more of a place also in things like Hydra Roach compositions. A lot of people kind of fade away and just made mass Roach, even ZVP and ZVZ. I think they'll have more viability. A lot of people kind of were like flirting with the idea when they incorporate Hydras, but it always seems like you can attack with Hydras, but you can't retreat. So it's like one of those things where it's a big investment, a lot of gas, a lot of larva. So I think Hydras have more options, especially again with the Swarm Host introduction. Missile attacks are more applicable. You can have the Locust tank damage, Hydras add damage, and all these kinds of things. If you're really smart with your Hydras, you'll be rewarded because they can retreat now, not just attack.
That's right. I mean, the mobility has always been the sticking point, and in Heart of the Swarm, it's no longer the sticking point. Now your Hydra is right up there with the Roach in terms of its usefulness. I mean,
no, not yet. That's fine. You guys can talk a little bit.
Siege Taints kill Hydras in the same number of shots as they kill Roaches. That's really cool. Yeah. And when you consider that, now the Hydra is basically a Roach. Similar supply, much better damage, still dies a little faster.
God help us all.
But now if it's so much faster and mobile, why don't we want that Hydra? Exactly.
Yeah, I'd be afraid if it wasn't for the fact the Roach is still there.
Yeah, Hydras are still pretty powerful. I think now with the speed upgrade, it doesn't actually facilitate only the Roaches being used. Because I think in Wings of Liberty, it was kind of, you were relegated to only go Roach, which was a shame. I really feel like Hydras you know, have this place in the Zerg army where they really should be used. And, you know, it's been seen like that in ZVP. That's really, or excuse me, ZVZ. That's really, really obvious. But, you know, I've been trying to actually push for ZVT Hydras. And ZVP Hydras, it's actually been coming back. Bling, obviously showing that you can go into late game with Hydras.
Bling?
Bling's a Protoss.
Bly.
Wow. That's true. Bly does do Hydras and everything.
Hey guys, I think actually if I win this game, which will be my last game, then I'm totally going to join in the discussion. If I win this game, I think we're rank 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Not bad.
Pretty good. Who are you playing right now?
Protoss. So.
You don't know who?
Doesn't matter. It's free win. Last really cool change that Zergs are seeing in Heart of the Swarm.
There's a few more changes actually. Which one are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about Ultralisk Charge.
Ultralisk Charge is one of them.
What am I forgetting?
Overlord speed was nerfed.
It was reduced. I don't think that it was nerfed. I think that it was
fixed.
No, I just think that Blizzard left it. Like what I feel like Blizzard did is they took their vanilla StarCraft and they built Heart of the Swarm on top of that. So Overlord speed will be back, I'm sure. I'm not sure what's going on with Queen range because sometimes they have range and sometimes they don't. But I'm pretty sure that'll be back. Yep. I don't think Blizzard would just remove that stuff.
I think Queen still has range. Just if it's close, it has a different animation
as well.
They just changed the animation. If it's less than 3 or less.
It has the old school attack.
Less than or equal to 3, then it'll do that.
Yeah. Do it again?
If not, nope. Only once.
You were like freestyle swimming there, Andre. There's a couple of more minor changes, like creep tumors are not instantaneous. They take a little bit of time.
They do the cool little creep dolphin animation.
Yeah, but it's like an indirect nerf, right? Because it takes a longer time.
It's so minor.
You can go on ramps as well. Creep tumors on
ramps.
ramps.
That's a big change.
That's actually a huge buff. makes spreading creep a lot easier.
Yeah, really changes everything.
Spreading creep up ramps is a real headache.
But Ultralisk Charge, first off, it has to be one of the funniest spells to look at.
Yep.
Like every single time I actually charge with Ultras, I can't stop laughing.
Oh yeah, it looks like the Marine's about to land on the Ultralisk.
It's like
the Marine's like.
Hey, let me see if I can pull up a YouTube clip of the Ultralisk Charge while you guys actually talk about
awesome ability. One of the reasons that I mean, we occasionally see late game Ultralisk Baneling in ZVP in Wings of Liberty. One of the real reasons that you don't see late game Ultras all the time is because of how difficult it is to engage that ball. The ball clumps up, the Ultras are going to engage whatever units are at the front of it and get burned down by Archons, Colossi, Immortals. The charge completely blows that dynamic away. The Ultras are now in the middle of the ball. They break up the ball, so everything spreads out, giving your Zerglings more room to wreak havoc. Incredibly powerful ability, and also may have some good applications of against mech. I'm not sure yet because that mech army just does so much damage.
I've actually tried it. It's very, very good. Okay, let's go over to my screen now. Go for it.
Here's the charge.
How funny is that? Now, I was actually playing a game where I abducted an Ultralisk into a Terran army that was going mech.
And then you just like have it kept burrow charging.
And then it could burrow charge directly. But
looks like one of those poorly executed like team celebrations after they do like a huge ace match and like throw them, but they're like about to drop them because they're too weak to actually lift them
up. It's like Tiny in Dota. You just throw your teammate.
You know what you could do? What you could do is tell your Ultras to charge. Send your Vipers ahead of them, abduct them, and then they'll still want to go charge. So then they.
What if you told your Ultra to charge and then use your Vipers to pull him really far away, so he charged like all the way across the map underground?
That would be cool.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Hey, here's a question, guys. If Roaches can tunnel underground and Ultras can charge and tunnel underground, why can't Lings tunnel behind them, right? Because that hole would still be there.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Does not make sense.
David Kim, get on that.
David Kim, let's go.
What if what if an Ultralisk sees a burrowed roach and would it pop up and blow up the roach above ground, or would it just attack the roach underground?
I think you just like kind of squeeze over the roach and just like kind of push him down.
That's kind of weird.
It's like when you're like swimming and your dog's swimming in the water with you and it just comes and like shoves your head underwater.
Mean. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the next race. You guys have any wrap-ups about Zerg in Heart of the Swarm?
Zerg, I just want to say that Zerg is looking very, very strong, looking very, very fun.
So it's not the weakest race anymore?
I think there's a strong argument to be made for it being overwhelmingly the strongest race in Heart of the Swarm. There's just so many options, and with options you get depth, and with that depth you see great, fun, awesome, amazing things. And just for the record, before we go on to Protoss, Heart of the Swarm is going to be so exciting to watch and to cast. It is going to be incredible, the things that the best players in the world are going to be able to do.
Frodan?
You know that we are soon part of those best players in the world as rank 1 GM.
No. Frodan, any last thoughts about Zerg?
I think Zerg is, if you think patch Zergs are imminent now, be prepared.
Everyone's
going to be good with Zerg. It's going to be one of those things. And it's not to discredit any of the good Zerg players, to show that with any person that really sets their mind to it, I think you'll see really cool plays. And I want to kind of encourage people to try out Zerg as well. It's a really fun race.
Yeah. You know, honestly, like in the beginning of StarCraft 1 or StarCraft 2, when I was playing Terran, I felt it was just so overwhelming, the amount of options I had. The Ravens, the Reapers, the Ghosts, the Marine Marauders, the Siege Tanks, the Thors. And I feel now Zerg is like that, where it's overwhelming. In all my games, so I'm barely using Banelings. I'm barely using Infestors and still being so successful.
Yeah,
that's something
it's
that's
easy
so
to
cool.
forget about even the new stuff. Like I've made maybe one Viper because I'm usually doing all this other stuff. I'm like, oh wow, Hydras are really fun now. Ooh, Swarm Hosts are so cool. Wait, Viper? Oh, I forgot I even had that unit.
Yeah, and it's really, really awesome to see that type
Swarm
of...
Hosts, sorry, Vipers in conjunction with the new Hydra is going to be so crazy. But something before we leave it, the Viper Cloud, it only works on Bio? Is that right?
Yes,
it doesn't work on
uses
Stalkers?
That doesn't work on Stalkers.
It doesn't work on
That's
actually
so
a
sad.
majority.
Doesn't work on mech.
It make Zealots hit at melee range.
But that's going to change DVC substantially. Needless to say.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Ultras are now the go-to.
Zergling Ultra is going to be the in-game.
Yeah, because think a lot of times the counter to Ultra was actually to go infested Terrans. You wrap those infested Terrans around the Ultras. That doesn't work anymore. I have charge now. So that'll be
you have
really,
charge.
really good.
You can also just, well, I guess, yeah.
Charge.
Charge.